Right, some of the Edinburgh Fringe, I've just seen LEI to LDN. It's been one of the highlights of the Fringe so far. Who am I here with? Tell me your role in the show and what your name is as well.
Hi, I'm Maya Onwone, so I'm the director and co-producer.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Nikisha Pebedy. I'm the writer, performer, and also co-producer.
Oh yeah. So the show was a great hour, lots of energy. What was the inspiration behind Sade's story? Is it a mix of things that went into it?
It's a mix of like my own experience and then my mom's experience mixed together, and then also I have a lot of mixed race friends, so their experiences as well. So one of my friends, her mom's actually got the same name as Sade's mom, so I used her as the inspiration.
How did you two meet? How did you come up with this project?
So I worked with Poetic Unity, which is a charity based in Brixton, and Nikisha was the next cohort of cultural leaders, and so I was passing my baton over to her, and that's how we connected. Poetic Unity is one of those charities you kind of just stay with them forever, and so it meant that we stay connected, and now we're friends. We live together.
And obviously, the show explores the mixed race experience, sometimes feeling uprooted from Leicester to London. Which accent or piece of cultural code from Sade's kind of new world was funnest to play?
Ooh, I think the Vandam. What's funny is when I was writing it, we went out in Peckham, and I literally had a guy approach me exactly how I wrote it in the show, and I was like, "You're joking me." I was like, "You're literally proving my point." So yeah, that was quite fun.
Maya, how did you shape kind of staging that tone, the honest comedy, but also doesn't kind of dilute the emotional truth of the show?
I think in the writing it does it itself. The character of Sade has that balance between being very comedic but just being honest and truthful. And so I think leaning into the character of the whole story is how we brought it to life, basically. But also like the ending, it took us a while to shape it to get like that. And I think having lots of different conversations with lots of different people, but also just like fleshing out the backstory of all of the different characters that exist in Sade's life really helped them like land in a more like emotional tone, and then from there it was a lot easier to just like pick it up on its feet and bring it to life.
Oh yeah. And obviously it's a very energetic hour. You've got dancing there, there's music, there's comedy. Which of those came most naturally and what challenged you the most?
Ooh, I would say comedy, obviously because I wrote it. I think I find myself hilarious. Maybe anyone else does. I mean, everyone was laughing, so yeah, I imagine I'm slightly funny at least. But I think the challenge was probably, I want to say the dancing, because although I can dance, it's not something that comes naturally to, like the confidence side of being able to twerk in front of a group of strangers is not something I would do in my normal life. I'm quite reserved.
Yeah.
So I think just Sade generally brought out a side of me that maybe when I was younger was there, but now I've kind of suppressed, maybe.
And it was nice to see you got the audience dancing along with you as well. There was lots of participation in the show. How important is that in a show like this?
For me, really important, because I studied acting and creative theatre, so it was all about breaking the traditional theatre, and especially because the pieces that I write are written for people that wouldn't usually go to the theatre. So for me, that's their way of showing them that theatre doesn't have to be, not that everyone thinks it's boring, but I think when I speak to people and I'm like, why don't you go to the theatre? They're like, it doesn't appeal to me. So I write in a way that I think makes people realise that anyone can be involved, and theatre can teach us so much if only people feel invited into that space. So yeah, for me, I think bringing the audience on not only allows them to connect with the character deeply, but also be part of the story.
It's so important for people to see their own experience on stage as well, and traditionally ignored voices. What's it been like highlighting those for you?
I think it's really important. I mean, I come from my own version of a mixed background from two different cultures, and we always have this conversation about what it means to like exist with lots of cultures like battling against you. And I think it's just so important. Like working in this industry can feel so isolating as like Black women anyway, and so being able to work on a story that highlights something that's unique to you, I think that's really important, and I think it what allows us to keep working every day.
And then people find that shared experience that are in the audience, and you can hear that reflected in the laughter and people's engagement with the show. So that's awesome. And obviously, you guys are both artists in your own right. You wrote the show, you directed the show. What do you hope audiences take away from this above all else?
I think for me, because I also work within a school and I do workshops about like race and identity, and doing that, I realised how many people have unconscious biases that they're not aware of. Even myself, I have unconscious biases. So I think for people to, number one, learn about the mixed race experience, because it's not something that's often platformed. They have that show in America, Mixed-ish. There's nothing from a British perspective, and I think Britain were probably some of the worst in terms of what they did to the rest of the world. So living through that as somebody who represents both sides, and I guess it's not as direct as this, but like for example, my friend, her granddad was a slave owner and her grandma was a slave. So I think having that experience and that close to you is so unique and nobody speaks about it. So number one, to bring awareness. Number two, to challenge people's unconscious biases. And number three, for them to just learn something. So obviously there's a bit of education about mixed race history in Britain, which is something that I wish I knew when I was younger. So even if someone just takes that from it and also enjoy themselves, of course. You want to entertain audiences.
Absolutely.
Well.
Same question to you.
Yeah, I think mine is similar. I think the joy of the show is something that really lends itself to Fringe and what it is to be in community and be entertained. But also just to see talent from a black perspective and to appreciate that on another level, especially in a Fringe space, which is so heavily diluted with white people. We've got to have our space and own it here. And we were looking today, I think there's only 2 or 3 black theatre shows in Pleasant. There's quite a few more comedies, but it's just so interesting that we're really amongst the few. So we've really got showcase ourselves.
And it's interesting, of those answers you guys gave, it brought to mind some themes for me in Ryan Calais Cameron's work and other writers where traditionally we learn about slavery in the UK and we learn about negative experiences that the black community have gone through. How important is it as well to just highlight the kind of heroes and the alternative voices and the alternate history that you touch on in the show?
For me, extremely important, because I think that's what shapes the way you see yourself. So if you're a child and you're in primary, secondary, I think it was you that was telling me you watched, what was it? Roots?
Yeah.
When you was in primary school.
Yeah.
So imagine that's the way you think, oh, okay, so are people, and the thing is, black people are not the only people that were enslaved, but it seems to be the only version of history that is told through
100%.
school. And then it makes you think you're less than, and then you start to grow up with that image, and then when people are being racist to you and you go through all of these other things, it starts to shape the way that you see yourself and ultimately the way that you present in the world. But I think, especially for the mixed race history, when I first read about that, I felt so empowered. Not obviously it was awful to hear what they went through, but it made me realize that I'm not alone in this. Lots of people have gone through this and gone on to do incredible things, so I can do the same thing. So I think it's inspiring, especially for young people, to see yourself being represented positively, or just even at all, because it makes you realize, okay, I can do good things in my life and I'm not just this oppressed person that has to struggle through life.
It's important they get a range of experiences shown to them.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that as well. But I work a lot as a creative practitioner in the history world of things, and it's so interesting how much history that they just don't include simply because there's no evidence or it's told to be a myth. And so it's really trying to break down those stigmas against what history is positive for black people is going to be really hard, because a lot of it has been just eradicated because they didn't want us to know how much strength we had before this. And so having stories like this, or just allowing people to have the mindset to go and research and go and look into more, I think is what's opening up that world for people to access all of these bits of history
100%.
that they just don't know exist. So yeah.
How long can we catch you guys for at the Fringe?
So we're here for the whole month until the 25th of August. We've got 3 days off, but it's all on the website. So yeah, we've got 20 more shows. Come along.
Amazing. Well, make sure you see it. This is important art. It's an entertaining show. And these guys have been absolutely brilliant.
Thank
Come
you
on.
so much.
Thank you.